I'm wondering, what have you observed or what have you learned so far about how do we cross those echo chambers? How do we build common ground, especially across different political beliefs?
Right.
Yeah, what have you seen or what have you learned so far?
Right. So first of all, I wanted to say something on the common ground. I'm not saying this because I'm doing this interview with you, but I think the term common ground, I think that's a genius term, right? I much prefer it than middle ground, because for me, middle ground almost implies as if, oh, you're not taking a stand. You're wavering here and there, but you're neither fully here nor fully there, and you don't really. I always hate it when my my students do not take a stand on a particular issue, and I always say, how is it like feeling sitting on the fence? Does your butt hurt? Well, sometimes there's only one right answer, right? So we do not want people to be in the middle all the time. But I think we need to expand the common ground. So one of the things that I've tried to do, and hopefully I will continue to try to do, is I've had, I think, at least 3 episodes where the entire episode was me disagreeing with that person, right? And that person disagreeing with, 2 of them were on Chinese privilege, because they were on a panel which basically dissed on the term, and I called them to have a discussion with it, and we had a very good civil discussion while disagreeing. The other one was with Professor Bertha Hansen, and we disagreed on a few things, and there was some common ground there as well. Before this, I thought civility was overrated, So I was thinking, there's no need to be civil, right? I try to be civil to avoid distractions, because people will say, oh, your tone wasn't right or whatever it is. So I try to be civil anyway, but I thought civility wasn't a virtue to be pursued. But now I still think it's a bit overrated, but I think maybe there's some value in pursuing civility, right? Because, okay, and people, sometimes I see these people on my side, right? And let's talk about Chinese privilege, for instance, right? And then people on my side will say, oh, if you disagree with this, right? Why, if you disagree Chinese privilege exists, why do you want to give that person a platform, right? Why do you need to change the term if people disagree with you, right? And then I said, we do not necessarily have to change the term, but if people disagree with us, we need to listen to them, right? Why? Because we share the space, we share the country with them, right? Whether we like it, whether we don't, we have to listen to them at least, right? And I think as much as possible, you build common ground, and you can only build common ground, right, through discussions with people you radically disagree with. So I honestly, the episodes I enjoyed the most are those episodes. The episodes where I really, the Bertha one I particularly liked, because she was also, we went back and forth, so it was robust, and she, at the end of it, she also said, oh, I really enjoyed this. And people were also people who were, I think they were trying to be nice to me, and they were on my side. They were saying, oh, Bertha, what's your tone and all. And then I said, no, please don't tone police her, right? I mean, just as we always say, oh, don't tone police, so we cannot do the same to others as well. So I really think if you have civility, right, it's not the end to be pursued. It should be pursued because it allows for the building of common ground, right? You're not civil for the sake of being civil. You are civil because that allows us to expand the common space that we have, right? At the very least, right, there is a mechanism through which we can disagree with each other, and that's enough. Because I think, if Bertha and I can sit and disagree, if Ambassador Alami and I can sit and disagree robustly, right, that's a blueprint of sorts, right? We don't have to name call, we don't have to hit each other. We can disagree, and we should disagree, and we should dislike the ideas, but we don't have to dislike the person.
What is it that has allowed you to engage in those conversations with people who you really disagree with, but you could do it and be okay?
Right. So because there are 2 things, right? First of all, I always say this, right? If I only spoke to people whom agreed with me, I would only be speaking to myself. And even then, on some days, I wouldn't be speaking to myself, right? Because your views evolve over time as well, right? And sometimes you think, so if you're going to use that ridiculous standard, right, you are never going to have a conversation with anybody, including yourself, right? And secondly, right, because that is the only way you can live with. If you are a hermit and you don't share anything with others, You do not need to discuss with people who even may be attacking you. And I think you are a religious person as well.
Yes.
Yeah. So if for a lot of religious people, religion is one of the most fundamental identities to them, right? So for me, right, I believe that Prophet Muhammad is a messenger of God, right? So and you do not believe that, which is why I do not need to ask you. The fact that you are not a Muslim means you do not believe that, right? And that is a fundamental difference, right? But does that stop us from having a conversation? Of course not. So I see that as if we can do that with faith, which is very, very personal to us. I'm quite sure we can do that for other identities, including race, including gender, including others. Like when you are saying that, you are not saying that, oh, Muslims shouldn't exist. Right? And you do not even, I mean, in Singapore, we are polite enough not to say, hey, I think your religion is wrong.
Right.
But it's implied. When you do not subscribe to that, and that's fine. And that's completely fine. We do not, what I would say is understand this mechanism. I do not need to respect your beliefs about anything, whether it's about God, about anything secular. You do not need to respect my beliefs about anything, but you need to respect my right to believe in whatever I want to believe in. Likewise, and that's a difference. That's a difference. You may say, oh, that's just an academic difference. It's not, because if you are forcing me, like sometimes we say, we must respect each other's beliefs. No, I do not. I think your belief is wrong on this particular social issue. Why should I respect it? If I respect it, I would believe it. Right? But I respect your right to believe in it. And sometimes we have to debate to move you closer to myself. But the purpose of debate is not just to that. If I do get to do that, that's a bonus. I do not need to move you to my side. But I just need to articulate my views and you just need to articulate yours. And sometimes I leave the conversation, right? Like I left the conversation with Bertha, right? Understanding that, okay, I understand more why people disagree with the term Chinese privilege and why they think majority privilege is better. And I do not agree with it, but I understand. And that's fine. So she didn't move me to her position. I didn't agree with her, but I understand her. And that's great, right? If we understand each other where we are coming from more, then I think the common ground is expanded. So how I define common ground is space for us to exist. It's not about people agreeing with each other. No, as in, I do not want people to agree with each other. So then that will be a boring society. Not just that, but I think when people agree with other too much, society doesn't advance, because it's through the contestations of ideas that the best ideas emerge. So that is how I see the common ground. I don't know, is that how you see the common ground?